basically two, and they're related.
Today I'm speaking with Mark Wheeler, Director of Industry Solutions at Motorola Solutions. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you, Gene. Happy to be here.
I understand that Motorola recently did a survey of supply chain executives. Tell us a little about that, why you did it, what you were trying to find out.
Yeah, we did. We have the opportunity to work with our customers at a very deep level, and at their edge in mobility, not only in warehousing but in the field, in the plant, et cetera. And we were seeing a great deal of change in supply chain practices throughout the North American market. And we wanted to kind of quantify that, and so we commissioned a study with some help. We went out and we talked to literally hundreds of supply chain executives, both operational and IT, and we wanted a representative cut across industries. So we have a good group of manufacturers, wholesalers, retailers, and 3PL providers as well, so we can look at it by industry. And what we found was that there is a great deal of change going on. First of all, we saw an increase in the view of warehousing as a competitive differentiator. We ask customers specifically, do you view warehousing as kind of a cost center, kind of a necessary evil, or is this something that you differentiate on, something you're going to drive competitive advantage with? And we see that growing. Interesting, not surprising that 3PL was at the head of that particular category. It's really core of what they do. What surprised me a little bit was retail was number 2 in that mix, with over 25% of the retailers saying, yes, warehouse is something that is going to help us drive growth. And I think that's indicative of what the retail industry is going through right now with the growth in omni-channel and a lot of new pressures on them, but also opportunities that are going to require excellence in supply chain execution and new supply chain practices.
Did you identify any particular drivers for this spurt of changes?
Yeah, well, we think they're basically two, and they're related, of course. One is technology-based. We are at a time in supply chain where we're connected in real time, virtually wall to wall. So our transportation providers, our customers in many cases, as well as within the enterprise, we're connected in real time with generally high bandwidth capability in terms of being able to communicate. And it's taken time. That's been a reality for a few years now. It's taken time for the application and the business processes to catch up to that technical reality, and they're learning to leverage that in new and creative ways. And the other side of it is customer-based. The most visible example of that is in the retail side, where we have consumers with smartphones and tablets that are driving change in the retail business. They're changing the way they shop. They're changing their expectations on how product will be sent to them. They want to be able to, they expect retailers to be able to give them visibility to what's on hand. They expect retailers to be able to ship to them if it's in the store. They expect to be able to pick it up in the store if that helps them avoid shipping charges or it's more convenient for them. So some of it's customer driven. I think what we're seeing in retail with a consumer is a reality all the way through the supply chain. We all expect more from the people that we're doing business with, and that's just a reality.
So are you seeing, in terms of the warehousing, both an increase in the number of locations perhaps closer to the customer and automation? Are both of those coming into play?
They are, and we're seeing plans by, I think it was about 37% of the respondents to either grow the size of their warehouses. I think 20% are investing this year to expand warehouses, or grow the number of warehouses. And we dug into that a little bit, and we looked at, well, what's really driving increasing number of warehouses? Because we've seen so many supply chains where they've gone the other way. And it's the expectation from the customer about shorter delivery times. It's competitive threats and those kinds of things. At the same time, we saw the expectation that the number of SKUs was going to grow, and the expectation that they were going to be able to do all of this at higher inventory turns. So those are some conflicting objectives, and are going to require some innovative practices to be able to make happen.
You mentioned one of the trends with retailers being this omni-channel trend. Do you find that companies are trying to use a single base of inventory to serve all the channels, or are they breaking it down?
Great question. Omni-channel is an evolution for retailers. In some cases, more of a revolution, and it's a huge challenge. So it's across the board. So ideally, the ideal, the goal, the end state is that the retailer will have a single set of inventory that they can leverage in the optimum way, whether it's store replenishment, consumer fulfillment, or perhaps consumer fulfillment from the store. The reality is today, many retailers are not there. They have significant challenges going from an environment where these systems are siloed in terms of inventory planning, forecasting, materials replenishment between e-business and store to where they're tightly integrated. It's a huge, huge challenge.
So are there any other trends among retailers that you could share with us?
Well, related to what we talked about with omni-channel is the adoption of RFID for item level tracking in the store. As retailers look to fulfilling the promise of being able to fulfill inventory in real time from store-based inventory, and it's great for them because they can get a better return on assets from their investment in inventory. If all inventory is available to fulfill all demand, that's great. It's an execution challenge because now we need to have a certain level of inventory accuracy in the backer room and even on the store floor to be able to have that inventory be available to promise. In fact, we might even need real-time task management in the store that we didn't need before because we may have to send an associate to go grab that item, verify that it is in fact present and sellable, and then commit to the consumer a delivery time and date. So all of those things are changes that need to happen right down at the store level, and part of that will be RFID. So RFID at an item level not only helps the store have better inventory accuracy for someone walking in the door, it also, of course, gives them very good inventory accuracy to facilitate omni-channel fulfillment.
Is RFID at the case and pallet level not being used so much?
Well, it's still being used, and there is growth there at the case and pallet level, but the majority of the innovation and growth is happening at the item level, and it's enabling the in-store visibility at a SKU level for style, color, size, complex SKU items, where they can control it by location, by SKU every day.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about manufacturers. What kinds of trends are you seeing there?
Well, manufacturing mobility, according to the CIO survey, is now, I think, number 2 in terms of strategic priority. So it keeps going up. And we see mobility as being critical across the board in the manufacturing enterprise. Warehouse and material control is still the biggest area for investment for real-time mobility. The Food Safety Modernization Act and the food supply chain, the evolving pedigree laws and pharmaceutical, these are all factors. But the fact is, it's just good business practice to have very good control over your inventory movement, whether it's raw materials or finished goods or even spare parts. Shop floor mobility has a huge return on investment. We hope to see manufacturers continue to onshore manufacturing. If they're going to do that, they're going to have to do it smart. They're going to have to leverage technology to make people as productive as possible, and we see them looking to mobility to make that happen.
And let me ask you your opinion on this whole movement to bring your own device. How is that impacting the market in your business?
Well, BYOD, or bring your own device, is something that is a reality in certain environments. It's generally the management staff and some field mobility types of applications. It's expanding the market for enterprise mobile applications for sure. We think that many enterprises are going to find that the value of a device that's designed for the enterprise environment in terms of ruggedness, integrated data capture, the swappable battery, the ability to manage and secure the device and the data, not for every application, but for many applications, that value is still there, and it's the right solution. It's the lowest cost solution for many applications.
Great information, interesting topic. Thank you so much for being with us today.
My pleasure, Jean. Thank you.
I've been speaking with Mark Wheeler of Motorola Solutions. Thank you for watching.